Hello, are we live? Yes. Hello, everyone. This is the Arqus Academic Debate number 4, Women in Academia Across Europe. And it is the 3rd of February. We are streaming from the University of Padua in Italy. This meeting is organized by our communication team in Padua, Pietro Osti and Chiara Mezzalira, in collaboration with Serena in Granada. I wish to thank them for their work, and I would like to start by welcoming all the people that are following us today. And in particular, I wish to welcome the colleagues who are here with me around this virtual table this evening. In alphabetical order, I will say that we have 4 scientists here, eminent scientists, starting from Hélène Courtois, University of Lyon in France, Renate Dwajak, University of Graz in Austria. Hello, Sandra Pralgauskaitė, University of Vilnius in Lithuania, and Margarita Sánchez Romero, University of Granada, Spain. So this is a debate on women in academia and academia, with a special focus on the access of women to the hard sciences, the STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. And this debate comes just a few days before the celebration of the International Day of Women and Girls in Science, which is on the 11th of February. So we ideally anticipate and start a dialogue with the event that Arqus is organizing for the 11th of February. In other words, I suggest that we celebrate together, but today we also want to begin to address critical issues that need our attention. For me, it is a pleasure and an honor to open this meeting in my role as a Vice Rector for Cultural, Social and Gender Relations at the University of Padua. And I see this event with Arqus, for Arqus, not only as part of my commitment to this strategic European alliance, which includes 7 universities. Besides Padua, we have Granada, Bergen, Leipzig, Graz, Lyon, and Vilnius. But I consider this debate also as an integral part of a larger series of initiatives that promote gender equality from within our university, for our university, as it approaches its 800 years of history in 2022. And there are many stories of success that we can share, and we will share while celebrating with you, hopefully too. But there is one story in particular that holds, I would say, tremendous symbolic power for us today, and that I would like to recall briefly in order to start our conversation. I'll start by saying that the University of Padua holds a special place in the history of the relationship between women and academic institutions, because in 1678, when in the rest of Italy and also in Europe, universities continued to be strictly male bodies, institutions, a young woman called Elena Lucrezia Cornaro Piscopia, she was Venetian, a gentlewoman from Venice, was welcomed into Padua's community and granted a degree in philosophy. Today we celebrate Elena Cornaro as an extraordinary example of intellectual power and an early social recognition on the part of society, in fact, of the ability, the capability, the possibility for women to study and to produce knowledge in all fields, not just those reserved for women. So Elena emerged as an outstanding linguist, a philosopher, a theologian, but she also cultivated mathematics, physics, astronomy, and she had a passion for music and geography. So her degree resonated throughout Europe. It was an enormous success for a woman. However, after her death, she quickly fell into oblivion. The university itself closed ranks against women. It did not allow further access to any women after Elena, and women started to access our university, the University of Padua, only 2 centuries later. So I'm telling you this story because I see in it a mechanism that we keep seeing in the history of women in science and in academia. And it is a history which is full of starts and stops. The history takes 1 step forward and 2 steps back, and it is always very slow. Progress is always very, very slow indeed. Academic careers are not linear, they're not granted, and the work towards gender equality has also been slow. And today, and I'm referring here to the pandemic circumstances that we are experiencing, we are facing the very real risk of wasting or nullifying recent improvements concerning gender equality and inclusive societies, and the world is in trouble. Men and women are in trouble. The planet is in trouble. So I would like to explain briefly, and then I'll start a debate why I'm saying this and why I feel the need to say this, because I see obviously what is going on around us in Italy, and because we say that context is all, the university should be aware that we do not live in a golden bubble. In fact, we are a section of the real world or the societies we live in and cater for, and we cannot ignore that what we are living is a moment of crisis. And yesterday, the Italian National Institute of Statistics published a report which said that exactly 99,000 women were left unemployed in Italy in between November and December 2020, against 2,000 men. So 99,000, 2,000. And this is the dimension of female exclusion from the world of work caused by the pandemic, according to national statistics. And the reasons for this are many, of course, but the result is that women are thrown back into their homes with consequences for themselves, their family, and society at large. So how does this affect the university? I think it does affect it in many ways, but I'm just saying this because we want to begin to discuss the successes of women and the persisting gender inequalities in academia, without forgetting that we need new words, we need new lenses, we need new practices in order to, if we want, center a different perspective that might help people out of this crisis, and which is also in many ways a crisis of the university as an institution, and perhaps of knowledge itself. So because Arqus is a project that I like very much, because its motto really is enabling people, we think we have precisely this aim, enabling everyone to have a better life inside and outside university. So sorry, I was a bit long. I will hand over the floor to you, and my first aim is to get to know a little bit about the experience of the four scientists around this table, and I would like to ask them to explain or to present themselves, introduce themselves, particularly what they do in science and why they chose a STEM degree in the first place, and for what reason, and what kind of obstacles and opportunities they found in their academic career. I think we'll start from Hélène, and we'll move in alphabetical order. Thank you.
Okay, so I am Hélène Courtois from the University of Lyon in France. I am an astrophysicist. I can hear myself. I hope it's not a problem for everybody. Okay, now it's better. So I am 51 years. I am an astrophysicist. My specialty is to be a cartographer of the universe. So I make maps. I look where we and where are the other galaxies around us. And the main scientific question I am looking for is to understand gravitation. So gravitation is one of the last natural laws that we don't understand yet, while we live in gravity all the time. So it's just to say that we don't know a lot yet in physics, and to be humble in front of the universe, because there is a lot of things to understand. So I am also vice rector of the University of Lyon 1, which is of 50,000 students. So I am vice rector for international relations. I made this career in art science, starting from a personal dream. I wanted to understand how things work, how everything is interlinked: plants, animals, water streams, the planet. I think we are just a piece of the whole machine. And I dislike very much when things are put into several disciplines. I think it's a bit too much to say that there are humanities and art science. I think it's one big thing, and also to split men and women, I don't like it very much. And now we know that there are other genders too. So I think it's a very an old-fashioned way of speaking. Yes, I had obstacles during career and opportunities too. The main obstacles were cultural. So the big opportunities for me with my job, travel and to meet other cultures that were more women. And for example, the first director that hired me as a full researcher was actually an American director in Germany. I think it was very much because he was American and was the woman hired at this level at that time. And so in such an environment in America again, that I found a mentor for my career. So the opportunity for me was to travel actually out of Europe.
To Renate.
Yeah, thank you. I hope you can hear me clearly. My name is Renate Dwajak. I'm a chemist by training. I'm an organic chemist. And I was vice rector for human resources and gender and diversity from 2007 on to 2019 at my university. So I always had such a double career. On one hand, I did a lot of gender and diversity, and these issues, and I was a chemist by heart, so to say. I decided to go into chemistry, to study chemistry when I was 13. I had a very good teacher, a male teacher to say, and he was very enthusiastic, and he made me enthusiastic too. And there was never any doubt what I could do. I wanted to be a chemist. I can say all my life long. Nowadays I'm dealing with renewable resources, with polysaccharides, or also natural dyes and so on. We have a focus on renewable resources here at our university, and it fits quite well into the whole program. I was in the industry after I was ready with my PhD, and came back some years later, because my professor who had supervised my PhD had an open position to fill. I applied and I got it, and I started quite easily. But the more let's say success I had, and the more achievements I had, the more obstacles I was confronted with. And I think this is quite this is quite how it is. The more successful you are, the more obstacles there are, because there are limited resources, and there are people who want the same resources you want. At first I didn't notice this. At first I thought that this was my problem alone. Then I found out many people have these problems, and then I found out especially women have these problems when it comes to getting resources, to getting opportunities in the research fields they are in. And I learned a lot about this situation from other women. And this is why I went into feminism at last, when it was approximately 25, perhaps, or 30. And I found out that the problems we all face are problems we all face. It's not our personal problem if we can't succeed the way we would like. And this is because science is a man's world till today. And I think it's worthwhile to try to change it. Thank you
very much. Great statement. We'll have to discuss this thoroughly. Next one is Sandra. Please, Sandra.
Hello, everyone. I'm a physicist from Vilnius University. My field of interest in physics is noise, but not acoustic noise, electrical noise in electronics, optoelectronics, and other systems. I have no answer why I choose physics. Maybe because I liked it. And the largest opportunity which was given me being a scientist, I think, is possibility to do what you want, to work with topics which are interesting for you. That's the opportunity of being scientist for me. Of course, there are some obstacles which I felt and maybe still feeling during my career, starting from school years, when someone was asking, what profession are you going to choose, for example? So my answer, reactions to my answers were big eyes and what? Are you sure? well, okay, maybe a teacher. We can start from this. And later, when I already was in university, of course, both between students and between scientists in physics faculty, there are very few women. And what you feel first, different behavior. And on first glance, it could be seen as positive behavior, protective, helpful, but it sets apart you from group. You always are something different. You feel like maybe it's not your place or something. People have to do more job with you, to work more with you, to pay more attention to you. So this different behavior really works not good. Thank you.
Thank you. Feeling out of place is something that we've all felt sooner or later. And I'll hand it over to Marga.
Mm-hmm. Well, good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me to this interesting debate and say hello to my colleagues at the round table, this virtual round table, Rebecca, Sandra, Hélène, Annalisa, and all the Arqus team, which is behind the computers, taking care of us. And of course, all the people that are following us through the YouTube channel. Hello, everybody. I'm Margarita Sánchez Romero. I'm an archaeologist, and I'm the Rector for Equality, Inclusion and Sustainability at the University of Granada. I'm also the main researcher of the research group Material Culture and Social Identity in the late prehistory of the south of Iberian Peninsula. And I belong to several associations that work with for the visibility of women in science. And well, I'm very interested in scientific dissemination. The truth is that in my case, you should an A to the STEAM because it's an A of arts, because I'm an archaeologist, and this is a discipline that you know that is immersed in the humanities. I'm an humanistic girl, but has a lot of link with other experimental science. So, and I will come back with this question of the A later on. Regarding the question about what kind of scientific environment I found in my institution, I have to say that I was very lucky because I belonged from the beginning of my career to the Institute for Women and Gender Studies at the University of Granada. This is a center that deals with the trans and multidisciplinary coordination of research on gender, feminism, and women studies, with the aim of contributing to development, promotion, and dissemination. And for me, was an is, I mean, is working now yet, a place when you can find not only the support of colleagues that can help you and guide you with research, and you can see theoretical and methodological approaches from other disciplines, very different to your own disciplines, and the benefits of having an open mind about science. But it's a place with people which you can share all these problems that exist for women scientists, and you don't have this sense of isolation that sometimes we have, as Sandra said. And in a political level, we have in the University of Granada, we have the Equality Unit, which is a functional structure devoted to promote equality, and more important even, to correct the manifestation and consequences of inequality in the university. So I think that for me it was very important to have this kind of bodies inside the university, because they can be very useful for women. Thank you.
Rita, I think we should liaise, because we also have a center for gender studies, very much like yours, which is called Hélène Courtois. It is entitled, in fact, to Hélène Courtois. And it is a place where if you want to go interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary, you can, because we have women from all different sciences, human sciences, and so on. And also the question of STEAM, is something that I do care for, because I'm also a humanist. I'm in English studies and literature, and I see how STEM operate, and I think the humanities are deeply needed in many ways there. But I would like, thank you for your introductions to your work and your experience, although in such a short time. There are things that I'm sure we'll pick up as we move on to the second round of this table, and I would like to move the questions from the personal to the say scientific area or the institutional area, and I would like to ask what you think is the experience of women doing research in the university today. So we will look closely at women and research, and particularly the situation of women in STEM, and why you think the presence in STEM of women is important for themselves and for society, perhaps also for the reasons that I was introducing earlier on. I would like you to reflect with us about the qualities or the assets that women and research done by women can bring to the university. Can we talk about gendered innovations and what women want from what they can give and what they want from their institutions? And I would ask Renate to start here, and then anyone can join in as they have something to say after she makes a statement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think what women have to face if they go to a university or another research unit is that we have a situation of rather much competition. And this is not so easy for women in general, because we have another everyday life than men have. We have a lot of other requirements to fulfill. We have to function in our families quite different if we are compared to men. Women at universities, I think, can contribute a lot of very valuable things, especially because they're different everyday life. And this different everyday life results, I think, in another view you have in your professional field. Perhaps there are other topics you're interested in, or perhaps there is a different way you see things from your daily experience. And this thing, I think, could be very valuable for the whole university and for society on the whole. I'll give you an example. If you want to construct the car, you have to do tests with so-called crash test dummies. Figures made of materials quite similar to the material a human being is made of. General, 8 centimeters high and approximately 7 kilograms of weight. And then the crash tests are done with these dummies. Nobody ever thinks about dummies being smaller than 170 or lighter, perhaps 55 kilograms or so. And nobody thinks about children who are also sitting in cars, as far as I know. And if women try to do these tests, or if women could take part in the development of these tests, of these norms, and could contribute to the test procedures, and take part in all the process, I think these crash test dummies would look differently. And but on the other hand, if you are a woman at the university and you are faced with the situation we have at our universities, many of the women, this is my experience, ask themselves if they even want to be there, because it's not very easy for a woman at the university. It's not easy for men either, I must confess. And I think many young, gifted women ask themselves if they will take all the difficulties you have to overcome if you want to stay at the university. We have a lot of short-time employments. We have very few positions which we can permanently fill. This is an additional difficulty for women, because every time women have to apply for a job, they have the competition with some men. And if you look at the statistics, you can see that every competition sorts out a lot of women, and the men stay in the system. This is a difficulty we see, especially in Austria, and I don't think that it is different in other countries. The competition and the processes, how academia refills positions when they get empty, when a professor has to fill a position, and or the university wants to appoint a professor, you have lots of people who want these positions, and in every stage we sort out women. We have this leaky pipeline, and I think this encourages women. They shouldn't be disencouraged, but it's a fact that they are.
Interesting comments from male colleagues from various universities that are following this debate, and they are spelling out things in a very clear way, and they're saying, universities are very conservative institutions. No wonder that they exclude women, and they are closed in their ivory tower. And although the academy has changed in many ways, it continues to perpetuate a patriarchal model. Okay, so it's quite beautiful that we are having a discussion with people out there, men, who know exactly what goes on and are not blind to the question of women in academia. So thank you for your contribution. And Renate, we know exactly what you're talking about, and you're talking about gendered innovations, about research that takes the gender variable into account, and if you do that in serious research projects, maybe not in astrophysics, but perhaps, who knows, Hélène maybe can answer this. But in most sciences, you're up for great surprises. The way in which, seeing things from a gender perspective changes possibly the result of the project itself. Okay, so maybe Hélène, can you say something? Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you. It's very interesting, everything you said, Renate. I think that, as you said also, Annalisa, I'm not sure if in astrophysics it's the same thing, because it is a particular field from physics where in quite a lot of countries there are maybe 50% women and 50% men in this specific field. But when I was studying physics, it was not the case. Actually, we were only 15 girls out of 150 students in my years at university. And this was the case, but I should witness that all my colleagues at that time, friends, student male, they were super supportive with us, very respectful, and we were totally equal. I have never felt any problem with my male colleagues of the same age as me, never. And actually, it's maybe 30 years now that I am not anymore a student, but they are still my best friends, and we keep seeing each other. So when we were students at university, there was no problem. And even if we were only 10% of the full promotion as girls, so they knew each of us, we were special cases, as you said, Renate. It was not exactly the same, but they have always been protective, supportive, or even fun, actually, to hang out with. It's not the case of different generations. And I faced a lot of problem, as you described, when you start to have a lot of success in science. Actually, when you get your first Nature paper out, you can see some jealous people coming at you and trying to make your grant fail. So it can become difficult to obtain telescope time, to obtain money for research, these kind of things. But I'm not sure if it's a gender problem or if it's just a success problem. Maybe a bit of both. But anyway, life gets harder when you get more successful. This is, I totally agree with my colleagues that say this. So I just want to say that I have always, there is something I don't understand in our society, and I don't have the solution. But in France, at the end of high school, in art science, in physics, mathematics, chemistry, this kind of science, there is 50% of boys, 50% of girls, and the girls are super successful. They are the best, and all the teachers will tell you this. They are more clever in mathematics, chemistry, and physics at the end of high school, around 17 years old or 18 years old. And then when in first year of university, so there is one summer where everybody evaporates. I don't know, in first year of university, there is only 25% girls in physics. And then starting to be, so in academia, there is maybe 22% of young researcher, female. So we keep up the ones that start university, usually they get hired. So this means they are 100% successful, actually. This means but at the professor level. So once you are not an associate teacher, lecturer, but at the professor level, then in physics, this falls down to 9%. So I live in a world where actually there is 91% of men colleagues. So hopefully not 91% of my colleagues are totally bad people, because this would be unlivable. But a few of them can make your life hell. And what I would say to my best advice in life, I think, but also in work, is to ignore these ones, because they don't deserve your attention, they don't deserve the nerves, they don't deserve the stress that they will put on you. So just ignore them and make your career, do what you want to do, live your dream, and that's it.
Yes, Hélène, it's a good message. But when you face the numbers, which are very much like that throughout Europe in your area, well, you should ask yourself how merit, the issue of merit and the issue of quality in research, and how the evaluation of women's CVs impact on women's career. I think it's not by chance that 90% of men are, women, are win over women. Why should that be? It's really unexplainable, if not in terms of the self-supportive power of the male institution, I would say, and of,
Yes, so if I can add something, is what I would expect from, sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but one thing I wanted to say, what I would expect from the university and the society and things to change, because we can see that the girls that take STEM studies are successful. So we can't ask them more than this, and we should not ask them to do more. They should just do their job and not take extra works as usually most of us have done. Promoting equal treatment at each step. So to me, of girls enrolled at the doctorate level as the postdoctorate level, at each level, actually, until all this becomes just natural, there is 50% of women use this 50% of the brains on the planet. So we should just, as a rule, enforce until this becomes natural. This is what I would promote myself.
Yes, but it has taken ages, and it has not become natural after a few centuries of struggling. So we should make this process somewhat easier and quicker, I think. At least, Marga, would you like to add something?
Sure. Yes, I'm quite agree with my colleagues, and I want to point to another thing. I think we have a lot of documents about this situation of women and science, and all have to do with all use terms like emptiness, gap, glass ceiling, and we know all that this is structural, and we have seen this, how this has increased during the coronavirus crisis, and the confinement has had the opposite effect to what one might expect for this telework. Instead of balancing family and work, women have been disproportionately busy with household and family tasks. And I don't know how long it's going to take us to recover from that. And this is for that I wanted to introduce the A in the STEAM, because I think at what point is it have to do with time, always have to do with time. And I mean, it's when you reach a certain level in your research career, it's all about time. And it doesn't matter if you are in a lab, or you are in an excavation in a fieldworks, or you are in a library. This is a matter of time that you have or you don't have. And what I think that what women need from the universities is not to be forced to choose between family life and professional life, because family life is not only about them, but it's about the whole society. And we need to put, of course, part of this measure must be taken by governments. But I think that from the universities we can do a lot of work too in this issue.
Yes, work-life balance is central, and more now we see it. We see it because we've seen so many women giving their time, even during the pandemic, in our hospitals, in the university, to be there for the emergency, and they had to balance their lives with schools closed and their children at home, and they were there fighting. But the question of care that should be distributed across the families and the society, and it's just a central one. We need to address it for the future, or we will not survive. I would like, unless Sandra has something to add to this.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I agree with Margot that scientists are humans, and family life is normal for both genders. And now system is adopted for persons who maybe have no family responsibilities, and due to traditions, stereotypes, usually larger part of family responsibilities are on the women's shoulders. As was said, we don't have to choose between family and science. But in this system, in nowadays systems, it's very difficult, and especially if there are both scientists in couple. So career is only for one of them, and usually the second one have to take family responsibilities. And also I want to agree with Hélène that we cannot waste 50 or even more than 50% of brains, yes? And diversity is welcome in every society, in every community. If we will have more ways, more different ways to solve the problems, so it will be just better. Thank you.
Perfectly. There was a question asking how can we create a work environment more open to diversity? And you actually partly answered this, but I think the question has to do with respect for everyone, men, women, from all walks of life, and this is something we should know how to make it come into being in the university, which leads me to the next question. Maybe Marga can help me here, and the question is, of course, the how can we fix, what can we actually do to address the low number of women in STEM, particularly some areas like engineering or physics, and what should the university do in order to foster the interest of high school girls for STEM, to enroll in the hard sciences, which, by the way, technologies and some of the hard sciences are really geared towards providing a future, a working life for a lot of people, and women who tend to enroll in the human sciences, the social sciences, medicine. Well, medicine is a different story, but certainly human social sciences, and they are not given the kind of job and as many jobs as we would need. So the question of what to choose at the university, what kind of job would you like for the future, is part of the question that I'm asking you to address about women and girls in STEM.
Well, I think that the key point in all this is we must sensitize and train society in this. I mean, there's a lot of preconception that are very well stuck in thought. And again, the university must do something. And I think the university can do in different ways that, for example, on one hand, we need to training, we need to arrange a training for professors and for administration and services staff and a student in basic notion of equality. And I mean, we, for example, in the University of Granada, we do it through the training courses that we have in the equality unit, which I have to say that are quite popular. But we need to go to convince through the knowledge that this situation is a mistake. Because I'm not sure if everybody is conscious about that. And then we must look at girls who are in the high school and who are thinking just now what they are going to do in the next year. So, and for that, we need to know what is happening in our classroom with certain degrees related to STEM. And for example, in the University of Granada, we have some reports that show the differences between women and men in STEM. We now have in the University of Granada 22 degrees related to STEM, and we have the lowest level of women in a degree in computer engineering, which is like 9.44%. And on the other end, we have 80% of women in the degree in human nutrition and dietetics. And again, we have degrees in which the number of women is a little higher than that of men. For example, biology, biochemistry, biotechnology, food science and technology, optics and optometry, and chemistry. But on the contrary, the levels of women in engineering sometimes don't reach even the 20%. So we must work on these degrees. And to try to help with this situation, the universities, I know every university do that across Europe, and we organize conferences, meetings with researchers, open doors days, visit to labs, and intensive program. For example, in 2019, the Spanish government gave funds to some universities to make a plan for encouraging girls to study STEM degrees. And in the University of Granada, we prepared the I want to be an engineer. A female engineer, because you know that in Spanish we have these male and female words. And it it includes some good practices to make more attractive some STEAM disciplines for high school student girls, obviously. And taking into account that, we are currently conducting surveys to find out if the student enrolled in these STEAM degrees were encouraged to do that by carrying out these activities we prepare. So we have a long time doing that. So we are trying to know if it was fine and it works, and we did something with them. And for example, not only for this student in the high school, but for students that are now in these degrees, we have, for example, two activities. One is they are pioneers. It's son pioneras in Spanish. And this is a project open to women in academia in order to show their profiles as leaders, promoters, or participants in activities related to the transfer of knowledge. And we put all in a web page, and we organize conferences and roundtables, and we talk about the position and the situation of women in this in several disciplines, scientific disciplines. Or, for example, for the next February the 11th, the Day of Women and Girls in Science, we have these scientific trajectories that try to give visibility to women researchers in the university, at the University of Granada. And in order to do that, this is very funny, and it's even emotionally is very important, because they talk with their students about their professional lives and the challenges they face in research. In order to not, we want that the student not only have this high level scientific, women scientific, but that the professor or the lecturer that is giving a lecture there has a long tradition, has a long trajectory in science. So, for example, last year we had more than 200 women talking about themselves in class. So I think this is the kind of thing we can do. Go when we are needed, and to the high school and to our classroom.
Thank you, Margarita. So much work going on there. Some of this we're also doing in Padua. I would like the others to join in briefly, because our time is almost gone. So quickly, and maybe Hélène wants to intervene.
Yes, so very quickly, I would like to say that to foster girls' interest in STEM, I really think that role models are essential, as it was just mentioned too. And I think that the main sentence that should be written in the head of the high school girls is, when seeing someone like us, is she did it, why not me? Or they did it, why not me? I think this is super simple, and it's very important. I think also doing outreach and scientific diffusion, as you mentioned also. For example, making movies on your work, like this beautiful movie of Hidden Figures. It's very good because, for example, computer science was 100% female to start with. And while it's again a cultural problem, it's the geek culture very recently, starting in the 80s, but very, very recently, that changed it to 100% men, because this geek culture is very is not very elegant, and all the girls that are super successful in computer science went fly away this scientific field. So I think culture and diffusion and showing your work in the media is very important. While, of course, many times if you do outreach and scientific diffusion to the public, you will be seen as superficial and not serious. And people will be, again, saying bad things on you. So my other advice is to do it, of course, but to always talk only about serious things. And to the young girls and researchers that use now the social media, for example, I don't use them at all, but for the ones who use them, my advice would be never put the photo of your cat, never talk about things that are not serious. Just talk about your job and your science, because if you go away from this, you will be attacked. So I think for us, anyway, there is a big job, as Margarita said, it's to reach out to the high school girls and to even before, to the young girls, and also to support the ones at university and show them that we did it, that we can handle a career and a family life and everything just as if we were men. And that's it. We should not go further than this.
I would like to, because we have a very short time left, this leads me to something I want to ask before we go on to read the questions from and the comments from the people who are following. But before that, just to close on this, I would like to ask you whether there is something you want to say to the women students who in the STEM, in the Arqus Alliance, who are just finishing their degree, and some kind of message for them, or a message for the girls in high school who are thinking about university course, and they may think that something or about a work that would come out of that choice. So maybe Sandra wants to try with the box.
Thank you. My message is maybe for schoolgirls. If someone is saying that physics is not for women, if it is too hard, too difficult, my experience shows that the hardest thing in physics was for me, it was to lift a tank with liquid nitrogen. But now we have trolleys for this. So my message is follow your heart, go ahead, even if you don't like your physics teacher. Just follow your heart. Thank you.
Any other messages? Renate?
I'm fully with Sandra. And I would like to add, if you have interest for a STEM field, just try it. Let nobody tell you that it isn't the right thing for a girl. If you have interest, if you would like to learn more about something, just try it and see what comes of it. And you will find out that a lot can come of it. And if you have finished your studies and applying for a job or looking for a job, aim high. If you are an expert in a STEM field, it pays.
Margarita?
I think girls heard too many times, you are not going to be capable, you cannot, you are a hard worker, but, and all these things in influencing them and their choices. And so it's a shame that we have to remember that women are qualified to do whatever they want. But so I said, ignore stereotypes and go ahead, what do you want to do?
Hélène?
Okay, my message would be that you don't want to have regrets in life. I think regrets is the worst thing. So dream big, live up to your dream. And we only have one life, and you want to make it great. Make it great, your life, do what you like, because at a certain point, you will count the years. And if you have regrets and you didn't do what you want to do, what you like to do, and what you are good at doing, then your life is going to be a nightmare. So just make your life great, do what you like,
hard, just try, no regrets, make things great. And I think we should end on this good note. We just began to put the things and the issues on the table, but I wish if you have some 10 minutes more, I would like to read some of the questions that come from the floor, and one question has to do with the relationship of women to other women, and whether women are supportive of each other in there is the question from Fernando Galan. Do you think women in academia are supportive to each other in general, or this level of competition generates an even more aggressive environment? Anyone wants to? Yes, Renate, please.
I just put it in the chat before. My experience is that women are very supportive for one another, for each other. But also my experience is also that women's networks are not as influential as men's networks can be. So this is a little bit of a drawback, but on the whole, I got a lot of support from women in all the days and all the years I look back. And in Austria, we have such a saying that women are especially aggressive to one another in a very unfair way, in a way men never would do. This is not my experience. I have cooperated with women over many years, and most of them were really supportive.
Maybe I'll select another question, which asks, for greater equality between male and female researchers, what measure do you think should be implemented in your universities? From Jose. Hélène?
Yes, so I said this previously, but I can say it again. I think we should enforce. I don't see how we can do it in another way. There are 50% of women or more, as someone said before, on the planet, and I think until we reach this natural balance, it's a natural balance in the universe. The universe is like this. Why we should go not in this direction? I think we should enforce it. Enforce parity, equity by process in the university. So, for example, if in administration there are more than 50% women, we should hire men in the administration services. If in art science there are more men than women, we should hire women, and we should reach the 50% everywhere, but really by will. Everyone should have this will in every research team, in every administrative service, everywhere.
Like in France, do you have what we call pink quotas, meaning reserved positions for women?
No, we don't have this. In my university, we don't have this. And I think maybe within Arqus, if it's a Arqus policy, then this would be an incredible change.
Yes, it's considered illegal in many ways in Italy, but the question of who accesses what on what merits needs to be debated clearly. And I think that you need to have committees, for example, where men and women sit, and I mean evaluative committees for positions in professorships and so on. Not so much because women will hire women and men will hire men, but because the evaluation system should be aware that the curricula of men and women are different, but this does not mean that they do not have merit or they are not great scientists. Diversity should be predicated also at this level. If we don't, men will hire men. And that's what has happened so far. Okay, I wonder whether there are other questions that we haven't answered. Arianna is addressing the power structure in academia and what could be done about it. How much do you think it applies to research environment and what could be done about it outside power structure? I'm not sure I understand this question, but maybe you do. Or else, I'm just trying to read quickly. There's Fernanda again asking, have you ever felt the conscious or unconscious use of master suppression techniques by fellow colleagues or senior researcher? I guess we've somehow answered this question. Yes, we have, but you can always go your own way if you're strong enough. We have a long way to go again, Fernanda says, even longer for those women coming from vulnerable, underrepresented groups, where instead of feeling supported, they are discouraged. Okay, the category of woman per se has not been addressed by us today, not in any intersectional way, but there are diversities and differences that, of course, we should address. There's no, normal type or normality as white woman, privileged, educated, and so on. In our universities, things have changed, are changing. And what kind of opportunities do we give to women from minority groups, to men from minority groups, to access the university? I don't know how mixed and multicultural your institutions are. In Italy, we are gradually becoming multicultural. But it is a recent process. Have you got any thought on this? It's a very challenging kind of perspective. For example, we are hosting in Padua at the Cornaro Center, we are hosting a woman scholar from Iran. I don't know if you know the Scholars at Risk network, which hosts in European academic institutions scholars who are persecuted in their own countries. And we are just seeing the difficulties and the challenges connected to having people from very different situations and to work together in a productive way. Have you got any experiences of this? And I saw a hand. I can't remember whether it was Hélène or Sandra or no. No, okay. Yes, Hélène.
So I think Renate also raised her hand, so I won't be long. So yes, within our universities, we can help young women coming from less privileged social environment and family environment, of course. So as a teacher or as a professor, we see in the first hour of a class those girls. And as a professor, I think it is our duty to support them as much as we can in a very subtle way, not in front of everybody, but we must pay attention to them and support them as professors and teachers. And I think as researchers, we can't do 100% of our time outreach, because if we do this, we are not good enough in research. And as I said, I think you have first to be super good in research and then to transmit. But outreach, you can do it in a way where you select where you go to do outreach. And personally, I like to go, for example, in South Africa, in townships where both kids, female and male kids, can't go to school. And actually, you can still explain them the universe, the galaxies, and everything like this on the ground with a few photos. And I think outreach is very important. And we should not just do outreach to the upper classes, but we should, each of us, reach out to the most vulnerable and the ones unprivileged people, because if we want new mathematicians, women mathematicians coming out of Africa, we should go there and play our role model everywhere. So I think, of course, we can do it in our own institutions with the girls that already start university, but they already are at university. But actually, we should work at a younger age and be quite focused in what we choose to do as outreach, actually.
Yeah, in my opinion, I'm fully with Hélène. We could do a lot more outreaching in order to get people to the universities. And then the next step, I think, should be that we try to support, especially the girls. We call this in Austria first-generation students, coming from families where there is no tradition in academia, and helping them to overcome the initial problems you have if you know not very much about universities on the whole and your university in special, to overcome these problems in the beginning. We have a buddy system installed at our university. So students help students and we supervise them so that they have a smooth coming in or arrive at our universities and find out what our university can do for them and what a university can be for a human being who is studying not only STEM, but anything. And I think this is also important, to reach out, to get the people in, and then to treat them in a way that they want to stay, that they don't drop out after 2 or 3 semesters. I think this is an aspect universities can do rather easily without going somewhere or without changing the laws or without doing anything else.
I believe what you say, and I think that we need to close now, unfortunately, but we'll keep it up and keep going, because as Fernando Galán reminds me and us, it is one of the aims of Action Line 2 in Arqus to write a common charter on gender equality, and this is what we will work on from now on. Actually, we started few weeks ago, and we will carry on doing this, and we'll do it together so that diversity is really taken into account, not just women, not just white women, not just European women, all women and all men, for a future that is open, democratic, and welcoming, hopefully. So I thank you all. It's been a pleasure talking to you, sharing experiences, and thank you to all the communication team behind the screen and to the people who listened and spoke to us and made comments that were very useful. Thank you all. See you next time. Thank you.